This is Morten from Inkish, and I have today the pleasure of having Rafa as my guest. And Rafa, you are from Plastgrommet in Spain. So, where in Spain are you from, and what is Plastgrommet all about?
Morning, Morten. Thank you for inviting us to this event.
Always.
So, we're located in the city of Alcoy. We are in the province of Alicante. So, we are on a well-known area for tourism, and we have a lot of customers that they really like to visit our place. We are well connected to the with the Alicante airport, so we can fly direct to majority of destinations within Europe. And our company, we do products to help customers to be more efficient in their banner finishing operations. Okay, so we cover different product ranges. So we have eyeletting equipment, we have eyelets, media storage racks in order to organize better, the media rolls, because you need to have a tidy shop, so you don't want to have all the rolls, laying around. We have media lifters, and also what the range that is growing the most at the moment is what we call banner finishing systems, because end of the day, finishing is always the bottleneck of the flow. It is labor intense and slow. It doesn't matter the kind of tooling you have, but sometimes the customers they are able to take the orders in terms of printing capacity, but they don't have enough capacity on the finishing side. So what the equipment we have helps customers to be more efficient in their operations. End of the day, this means that they will be able to take more orders because they will be able to finish them on time, and also very important these days is that they will be able to have less staff working on the finishing department,
Yeah.
because with a single machine you can do more output.
And that was exactly also what we spoke about before we clicked the live button here. Is that
Yes.
a lot of companies in a lot of industries are facing problems of finding. I was just about to say qualified labor, but any labor basically, right?
Labor, yes,
Yeah.
that's what we heard. Yeah.
So if you look at, we're going to hear much more about the equipment, but if you look at the
Mhm.
companies that you have sold, for example, we saw at FESPA where we covered you live and saw how
Mhm.
fantastic the machine works. When you look at the companies investing in plastic grommets like the eyelet machines, the automatic
Mhm.
eyelet machine, uh, I mean, can you say anything in relation to the labor shortage? I mean, how fast is the ROI? Is it worth the money, or is it just nice to have?
No, I mean, if you have the correct type of jobs, so for us, for example, when we speak about the inline system that we call all-in-one, the correct type of jobs means that all the banners within the same roll, they have to be the same width. The length, it doesn't matter, because as we read the cutting marks, we can cut as we go. But if you have that kind of repetitive jobs, just to give you an idea, a 50-meter roll will be finished in 7.5 minutes,
Oh.
and that's really makes a difference. So we have customers that they print multi-roll. They have 5-meter printers printing multi-roll, and the kind of the amount of output they are able to make is huge. So if you have a finishing solution that's automated, there's no way by hand that you can finish orders on time. Okay, so it really makes a difference if you have the correct type of jobs.
So, even though that during because of the COVID, not so much the COVID anymore, but because of the war in Ukraine and because of the, I mean, the high inflation, you would say that it is really a valuable investment from a purely investment perspective, because you can have a repay payment of the investment relatively fast, right?
Yeah, but that was you know the, the thinking of the majority of the customers before COVID. But now we are adding a different factor, that is the shortage of labor. So we have on one side, okay, that the return of investment is there, and then also you can work with less staff. Before COVID, everybody wanted to decrease, the finishing cost, but these days, I don't want to say that's not important, because you need to make the return of investment, obviously, but you will be in a position to say, okay, I can take these orders, because if you have 500 banners to make, that could be a nightmare otherwise. So that's really the feeling we see, that these days, especially at FESPA. I mean, the kind of inquiries we were getting. I mean, this is not the first time at FESPA that we were showing this equipment, but we got more inquiries than before, and everybody's looking for that. Okay, we have to find the correct customers because not everybody has the same type of jobs. But if you have the type of jobs that will fit into the machine, it will make a lot of sense, for sure.
It's funny you mentioned that because yesterday we had finishing in the label flexible segment, and the days before we were in commercial print. And it's funny that in most of the segments out of the commercial print space, often people talk about that commercial was the first to really automate because if you want one birthday card for your mom, you only print one copy, right?
Correct.
And it also seems that in the packaging and large format and also label flexible, the workflow automation has been a little bit slower to adapt, but now it's kind of forced to move faster into optimizing your production, and that's where Plastic obviously comes into play because, as we spoke about as well, it's funny because don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that what you do is simple, but it is a very good idea and you execute very well on it. And for all the large format signage companies, as you say, if you have the right application, this is really a time saver.
Yeah, it does. What we see is that, for example, speaking about automation, you said that if you are making something personalized, everyone is different. But if you are able to have a fixed size, or maybe you have 4 or 5 different sizes, and you are able to have it on the same roll, it doesn't matter if the image is changes, the system works. So it is not that you need to have 500 exactly the same banner with the same graphic and whatever. So what we see is that customers also on the web to print side of the business that is always growing. Sometimes they are narrowing a bit, what they offer in terms of sizes, just to have it a bit more standardized. It's not okay. Basically, you can order what you need, but maybe not exactly the size you want. So we have several templates because that way we can organize, the printing in a way that all the banners on the same roll are going to have the same width, and we can standardize the process, and that's what you get really, the most out of the equipment.
If you look at the history, because Plastic started an entirely different place, and now you have moved into for years now into this with the eyelets and the automation machines for doing these things. I was just wondering, as you mentioned, FESPA was a lot of interest. You had a big booth at FESPA.
Yeah, we had.
Yeah, and there was a lot of interest for. Every time I passed your booth, there was a lot of people there. Except the last day, of course, because everybody went home that day. But the rest of the show, there was a lot of people at your booth. If you take your current development of the machine and think a little bit ahead, what is the biggest demands from the signage and large format customers? If you see the next, I'm not asking you to reveal any secrets, but where do you see the trend going?
I mean, it's not a secret. What customers want is to have maybe not an integration with the printers, because or finishing equipment works faster than the printer. So, but what they would like to have is, okay, I have a roll, could be 50, 100, 150 meters, it doesn't matter. But is there any way that we can finish the roll without having to do any, operator moving banners from one place to another? Because on the system we have all-in-one will finish the long edges of the banners, and then we move to another machine for the short edges. So ultimately, what customers will like to have is to have a system that will finish banners like this. So I have a roll, I feed it. I don't want to say that's not possible. That will be, what we would like to achieve at some point, but that will be what customers would like to have, because it will be, the perfect integration with the workflow they have. You print, then you take the rolls to a finishing area, or you integrate the finishing machine together with the printer if it makes sense. That it will depend on the type of jobs, but that will be where that's where the demand goes, really.
And it's funny because, if you look at all the other segments in the industry, is like the use of robots and the use of AGVs for handling all these. It's both because of the work environment, but also because you can automate more processes. I think that maybe the challenge in your segment is basically when you have a 5 meter wide roll, maybe even the weight is not so high, but it's difficult to handle just because of the width of the roll, right?
Yeah. But at the moment, the maximum width we manufacture is 3.2 meters,
Okay.
because just bear in mind that what we are making is machines to finish banners and not for building wraps and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's where sometimes you use the 5 meters and join them to make a building wrap. So in our case, it's banners that could be 3 meters times 4, 10, whatever. So we are speaking about the smaller size. I mean, not the small banners, but the smaller than 5 meters.
But 3 meters
That
still a big size for
no, it
having a
is a big
robot
size for
handling it, right?
for everything.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
everything, yes.
Fantastic. So we spoke about also that you're going to Printing United. Is
Yes.
I mean, it's only the second Printing United, but have you exhibited in the US before?
Yes, we have we have a company incorporated in Miami, Florida since 2018, I think. We've been exhibiting on SGIA before and
Okay,
ISA.
so you know
Now,
the people from
yeah,
there. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, but we only do now Printing United because we think it fits better to our product range. Last time we traveled to United States, it was October 2019. That was Dallas. So we are really looking forward, to go to Printing United again, because we see the demand is growing in that market, and we are bringing one of our finishing machines to Printing United, and we really expect to have a lot of new contacts over there.
I'm sorry that I didn't know you in 19 because we were also at Printing United, but now we know each other, Rafa. So
No,
that's
that's
really cool.
you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And definitely, we're going to talk to each other when we see each other, because you have asked us also to come and cover from your
Yes.
booth. So, and I think not next week, but the week after, we will have an interview where we can talk details about what to expect in Las Vegas, right? But Rafa, you have prepared a presentation, so maybe we should dig into that one, so we can
Okay.
see that. So maybe you just change your presentation screen, and then I will bring you up here. Just put it in presenter mode, and here we go. I will be muted, but I will be listening, so we can have a chat about what you are presenting afterwards.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay. My presentation is ready.
take it away.
Okay. Okay. So we will cover a bit, what Plaschromet does, where we are, and the different products that we have for the wide format market. Okay. We've been helping customers in their finishing operations since our beginning. Our factory, as we said before, is located in Alcoy, Alicante, on the Mediterranean coast. And then we have a company incorporated in Miami, Florida, to serve the North American market. We have a stock of products over there, so we are able to have quick turnarounds when we speak about consumables, as could be eyelets, grommets, media storage racks, media lifters, and so. And then we cover in terms of sales worldwide. Some places we work through distribution, and some we work direct. Okay, we really see that automation is a game changer in this market, because as we have been talking about, end of the day is, are you able to take orders, or do you have to reject them because you don't have the correct equipment? Okay. And for example, one of our main markets is Australia, that we work with our partner Eurotech since many years ago, and that's the farthest point from Spain, and that's one of the markets where we have been more successful. Okay, so we are able really to install equipment worldwide with no problem with our own technicians. So product range, it covers 5 different segments. So we have eyelets, grommets, when we speak about the American market, eyeletting equipment, media storage racks in order to organize better the media rolls. And then we have media lifters. We have several models. And then what we call the banner finishing systems. That's what the products we have to optimize the finishing of the banners. So speaking about the eyelets, okay, this is where we come from. So the name of our company is Plasgromet. That means in American English, plastic grommet. So we have been I think we've been the first company producing clear grommets for digital printing. We have our own plastic injection factory, so this is our own production. We have huge stock of millions of grommets or eyelets ready to ship, as we have many machines working with them worldwide. So we had to be able to deliver quick, and our customers, they really like the situation where we produce the equipment together with the consumable. So all the machines, they are made exactly to the size of the eyelets, so everything works perfectly. Clear eyelets, they are really, we think a real alternative to the metal ones for the graphics industry, because they are recyclable, they are resistant, invisible. So that's, I mean, you can see it on the image on the right hand side. So you can see the color underneath. This really makes the final banner to look better compared with the metal ones. And especially these days, with all the price increases, they are really cost effective, because the price of the raw material, it is quite stable. I mean, it has gone up as everything else in the market, but it is more stable than the metal ones. So a lot of customers, they are also, choosing clear eyelets as a very cost-effective way to finish the banner. Not only because of the looking, but also because of the effectiveness in terms of costing. Okay, so we really call it the smart choice. Since a couple of years ago, we have also added metal eyelets to our offer. The reason is that for industrial markets, as it could be, tents, gazebos, things like that, customers, they are more used to have metal eyelets compared with clear ones. So we have our own production as well of metal eyelets, 12 millimeters, that we manufacture in brass and steel. And exactly as the clear ones, we have a stock that we can deliver to customers, and these eyelets are, for automatic machines with neck washers, and they work perfectly with our equipment. So we are able to cover now, the entire market. It doesn't matter the type of eyelet you need for your production. Speaking about, the eyelet machines, we have a really, large range. We split our offer in terms of what we call basic line. These machines are for mesh, banners, corrugated plastics, Saki looks. And then we have what we call the Pro line. These machines, they will work with the same material plus fabrics. On fabrics, you need to have a different kind of cutting technology because of the threads in the fabric. Okay, so we have always in both ranges, we have hand press, then we have a semi-automatic machine, pneumatic, and then we have fully automatic machines. Okay. In the Pro line, we have two different models, autocross and multipress. Multipress, basically, it has more features than autocross, so more electronics, so that really goes to the high end of the market, and it has something that is called pre-cutting. That means that we don't cut and set the eyelet at once. So first the machine will do cutting, and then afterwards it will set the eyelet. And this is really appreciated by the customers that are setting eyelets on fabrics, because the finishing is much better, because you reduce wrinkles 100%. Okay. And then we move to the media storage racks. Okay, so rolls are normally all over the ground. They get damaged, dirty, and things like that. So we have a range of about 10 different products, also for a small format, and also for up to 5 meters, that you can use in order to organize better your rolls. The one we have, for example, on the right top is called a Jumbo Rolls Transporter. That unit works perfect with 3.2 5-meter rolls, and it can be allocated next to a printer. So for example, if you need to have rolls ready to be loaded to the printer for a night shift, you can have them there, and with a media lifter you can load it directly from the rack to the printer with a single operator. So end of the day is trying to find a small efficiencies that will make the job easier and faster. This is, some examples. Sometimes customers, they will send us pictures of their shops, and you can have, the ones we have on the center, that's called bull rack, horizontal storage of 15 rolls up to 1.62, and you can have them, side by side. Then on the corner at the bottom, we have multi-rack, wall rack. So, end of the day is, different ways to save space and to store the media better, so you don't lose rolls don't get damaged. We come to the media lifter range. So this is a product that it is becoming more and more important in Plasgromet because there is really, a large demand for this kind of devices. So the first one we got, it was the one in the center. It's called a compact lifter. This is a hydraulic lifter that's capable of lifting up to 200 kilos. And it is very easy to use. Operator has to press the pedal in order with the pump to lift the roll. And then you can see that in the front of the lifter on the forks, we have a metal part that has 3 different positions. So it can be like this to load the printers. If you can have it like this for safety, transportation, it will go downwards when you want to load, the rolls from the ground. We have the same model, but battery operated. That will be the one called Compact E-Lifter Pro. And that one goes up to 300 kilos. Okay, that's the advantage, and also you are able to take a bit larger rolls in terms of diameter, up to 30 centimeters. That's the perfect tool if you have like a 5-meter printer and you want to load it with a single operator. And then we have what we call Compact E-Lifter Lite Electric. This small device goes up to 100 kilos. So we are thinking about the companies that they have like a lamination table where you have to load the rolls that are not that heavy, but still they are too heavy to handle them by hand. So it is extremely easy to move, very maneuverable, because the lifter itself is very lightweight, and it's the perfect tool for people that they don't have to handle rolls more than 100 kilos. That happens, a lot of the times, and it is extremely easy to move it from the shop to the warehouse. We have some customers that they are getting it, just to transport boxes in the picking area. This is a video where we can see in combination the jumbo roll transporter together with the compact e-lifter. Okay, so let me see. Okay, it works. So how we see the roll, and then you can go to the single operator is able to do the job. Sorry, I move. Let me. Okay, we were here. Yes. One of the features of the lifters, they have a very low profile. Okay, so normally they are lifters with no. And also, they have the position that I said before, that length in order to load the printers.
Rafa, I think we have a few issues with the bandwidth from your side, so it seems that the video is lagging a little bit, and therefore we can't hear you so well. So maybe you just send me the videos afterwards, and then I will add them into the edit. Then we can have a smooth explanation at the same time. Is that okay?
Okay, no problem. I will. Okay, let me go to the second slide. Okay, so we have, this is what, this will be the core of the presentation. So these are what we call the binder finishing system. So what we do is to integrate eyeletting equipment in machines in order to make not just eyeletting, but different processes as well. Okay, so the one we have on top, we call it Roturoll Lite. This is a product manufactured for companies that are making rolls of fence mesh. I know in Europe it's not common, but for example, in Australia and New Zealand, a lot of people, they will use pre-hem mesh. So that's mesh that is it has already a hem welded, and then you print on the material that is already welded. Okay, and then the advantage is that you have, out of the printer, you have a roll that is already has the hem, but still you need to eyelet it. So we have this system with 2 eyeletting heads on the sides and then a couple of air shafts on each side. So it is very efficient because a single operator is able to finish both sides real quick. Then, for example, we move to the all-in-one that we have mentioned before. This is the inline system that integrates welding, eyeletting, and slitting or rewinding on the back. So this is really the product we have that automates the production the most. As I said, if you have the correct type of jobs, this kind of this piece of equipment can really make the difference in your finishing operations. Because if you are printing, for example, fence mesh, not pre-hem, that you need to do the hem, out of the printer, this kind of machine in 7.5 minutes will be able to finish a 50-meter roll. And these days, we see that customers they are using larger rolls in terms of length in order to decrease the time they need to set up the job. So if you are using 100 or 150 meters, productivity really goes is completely you can't think about it having this kind of machines. Recently, we got a customer that they have ordered the second one because their printing capacity has been expanding so much that with a single line was not enough. We installed it a couple of weeks ago. Then we have the finishing station. Okay, this machine integrates as well welding and eyeletting in a single place on a smaller scale as all-in-one. We can use it to finish the 4 sides of the banners. So we can do long sides and then the other long side and the short ones. Or for example, if we are using it in combination with all-in-one, okay, we can finish the long sides or long edges with the all-in-one, and then we can do the finishing station for the short ones. So we are kind of like having a semi-automatic workflow, I can say. So you will have finishing station on the end of the all-in-one. So as soon as the banner come out of the machine, you will take them to the conveyor belt and then you will finish the short edges. Okay. And then we have a small device that we call roll rewinder, because many times, the small banners that customers make for supermarkets, fast food chains, you need to roll them for shipping. Okay, so normally that will be a process that you will do by hand. So with this kind of rewinder, you can use with or without a cardboard core. Okay, so you will roll them real quick, and then with a poly bag and a label, the banners will be ready for shipping. Okay, so that's the small things that when you put them all together, they really make a difference in terms of finishing efficiency. And this is the kind of workflow that we display at FESPA Berlin this year. So we were trying to explain customers, how to achieve an efficient workflow. So we were starting at the booth, loading the rolls with a compact lifter instead of doing it by hand, as everybody does. Still, I mean, when you go to the shows, you see that technicians are loading the printers by hand, and that's dangerous for the back, and that's not very professional. So with this kind of tool, you can easily load the rolls, you finish the long edges with the all-in-one, and then you move to the finishing station for the short ones, and then you take the banners for rewinding. Okay, so that will be, how we see the workflow in terms of banner finishing when you have large productions. So let's talk about the finishing station itself. So as you can see, the machine has integrated a welding head together with an eyelet. In this case, this is a multi-press. From our Pro range, it is the most advanced machine. Okay, so in front of the machine, we have a conveyor belt that is fully synchronized rollers that machine has. So we have one traction roller on left to the welder, and then we have another one on the other side. Everything is fully synchronized in order to reduce wrinkles, because if one roller goes at a different speed than the other, it is not going to be even, and the hemming won't be it won't be a good finishing. We are able to have or to make 3 different types of finishing with this machine. The standard one will be hem. We are also able to do webbing tape. That will be a polyester tape PVC coated normally is used for fence mesh because the mesh itself, it is a weak product because of the lightweight it has, and when you make a hem, still it will be like 350 grams or something like that. So majority of the times you will add a webbing tape welded in order to make a strong product and more durable outdoors. And also, not very often used, but if you have this kind of finishing in your production, it is really, a fast and a way to finish is to have Keyder. We have some customers that they have to weld Keyder on, for example, advertisement banners for trucks. There are many systems in the market where you have an aluminum profile on the side of the trucks, and then they have a quick change system that where you have to fit the banner on a rail. So you do like this in order to fit it, and then you have to weld a Keyder profile on the sides in order to do that. With this machine, if you change the welding guides, you can do Keyder as well with only changing the guides, so no further modification are needed. And something important, you see that we have a big screen over there. So the operator, it has a wizard or a finishing assistant where if you input which is the banner size, the width and the length, if you input the number of eyelets you want to have on that particular banner, distance from the edge, and some small things, the PLC will calculate exactly where it has to set the eyelet. Okay, so the operator doesn't have to pay attention to where I'm setting the eyelet because the machine it is going to make a stop by itself, and then the operator will press the pedal to set the eyelet. Okay, so we have, besides the conveyor belt that I mentioned, we have what we call extension tables with rollers, because you need to have to fit. It's very important, especially on the loading side of the banners, to have a very easy feeding of the banner, because you don't want to have tensions on the material, because operator is the one that is controlling the hemming guide. So it is very important to have these kind of tables in order to have a smooth banner feeding. Okay, it's more important on the loading side than on the outside side. Okay, so let me mute the sound and let me see how it goes this time. So what are now is the process of how to finish entire banner. So you your banner for, it is quite efficient. If only the banner ones side ones. Okay. This
To be honest, Rafa, sorry, I think you should
finish the four
stop the video.
sides. It's not. And this is not a mistake. Set the first grommet and also the last one on the edge, you won't be able. Yes, Morten?
Yeah, I think you should stop the video, because the moment
Do you hear me?
when you turn on the video, your sound almost disappear. So I think it's better that you talk about, maybe you just click a few frames and then we add the video afterwards. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what I was explaining is that when we do the long edges, we don't set the first grommet, neither the last one. The reason is that if we set them, once we try to finish the short edges, we won't be able to fold the material because we already have an eyelet over there. So the PLC knows that, because we have previously input the banner length at the banner width, okay, and it will skip the first one. And then when we do the short edges, it will set it. Let me move the frame just a bit. So now we have the banner prepared for welding the short sides, okay? And then what we are going to do now is the first thing the machine is going to do is to set the corner eyelets. we set and then the volumes. Okay. Okay. So we now come to the inline system that we call all-in-one. Okay, that's where we put together different processes in an efficient way in order to we have on this machine is that we have an automatic roll edge alignment on the loading side. So this means that it doesn't matter if, for example, the rolls are not straight when you print them. So we have a system that it will correct that. Okay, it will automatically move left to right, and it's reading constantly where the banner is located. Because if the banner it doesn't, go exactly on the correct position, what it happens is that just think that, I mean, if, for example, the banner slides 10 millimeters, maybe the eyelet is going to be set out of the banner. So the idea is, okay, I'm controlling all the time where I am, and then banner is always perfectly straight to the eyelet setting line that where we measure is on the machine that is on the left-hand side of the screen. Okay. Then we have the welding heads. So the welders, they never stop welding because we want to have a continuous process in order to have a perfect welding. And after the welders, we have an accumulating system, dancer type, because we need to create a buffer of material before the eyeleters. Because to set an eyelet, we have to stop the banner, okay? But we don't want to stop the welding. So what we do is accumulate several meters of material in between, creating a buffer, and then the PLC controls all the different speeds. And then when the eyelet sets, it will really move really fast to the cutting unit that we have on the back. Okay. So for the customers that are producing rolls of fence mesh instead of using the cutter, we will be using a rewinding module that we have on the end, so we are able to produce, roll to roll. Normally, it will be mesh banners, but also PVC or whatever. For example, we have some customers that instead of printing on mesh or PVC, they are using PE. If you have a PE media together with your clear eyelets, you have a 100% recyclable product. So there is no need to remove metal eyelets or things like that. The PE banner can take in to the PE waste stream with no problem. That happens, for example, with a lot of banners being used in the UK for supermarkets, fast food chains, that they are using our eyelets together with PE for recycling reasons. And we can have the same finishing in terms of welding as on the finishing station. So we can do a hem, we can do a webbing tape, or we can do a keyder. Okay. And something very important is that on these machines, we offer remote support. So that means that when customers grant us a Wi-Fi access, our technicians can log into the machine and they can monitor whatever errors the machine may have. Sometimes the manufacturers of the engines, they tell us that we need to have to do a software upgrade in the engines, and this is something that we don't have to travel with a laptop to the customer. Just imagine that you have to travel to Australia, United States, just to make some upgrades in the firmware of the engines. So we get with the customer, okay, we try to find which is the best time of the day to make it, because sometimes the time difference is large, and then our technicians will log into the machine. They will do whatever upgrades they have to do it, and then the machine is able to run again. Also, for example, sometimes the marks that we have to read for eyeletting or cutting, depending on the type of materials, maybe we have to adjust them. That's something we can do remotely as well. And also we added lately what we call a data monitoring process. So via CCS file, we can send to the customer, some information from the machine in terms of linear meters that the machine has produced, number of banners, number of eyelets, downtime times, wherever is needed. So also trying to give to the customer information in a way that they can upload it to their own system. Okay. So we manufacture the machine in 3 different widths. 1.6 will be the smallest one. The most popular size will be 2.4 meters, and then the maximum width we manufacture at the moment it will be 3.2. Okay, and you can see that the machine is made in different modules. The reason we do it is in order to have a fast and easy installation at the customer side. So we don't want to be like 3 days putting all the machine together. We only want to be 1 day putting the machine together, and then we want to be 3 days training their staff, because that's where they really get the most out of the machine if the people are well trained. Okay. We have a video here, so Morten, just tell me if
No, don't.
okay.
We will show it later. Just tell me what it is, and then we will add it to the presentation when we're done.
Okay, so that was a general video of the machine. Okay, now we have this video that you can upload later. This one shows particularly the workflow that we had at FESPA. Okay, so exactly what we were doing is finishing the long edges with the all-in-one, and then we were taking the banners to the finishing station to finish the short ones. Let me try to find something here just to see the marks. So you see just a bit on the right hand side of the screen, there are some marks here. So we have a camera that on the edge that is scanning those marks. So we have one mark for eyeletting, and we use a different mark for slitting. Okay, and the camera is reading all the time. So if you print, if you leave the hem blank and you print the dots for eyeletting, and then the camera is going to set the eyelet exactly on the correct spot. In this particular case, we got dots along the edge, and then on the corners we got a cross. The cross won't be picked up by the camera as a setting mark because it's a different one as the dot they are scanning. So nothing will happen, but still it will be like a visual reference for the operator when they have to take the banners to the finishing station, okay, for finishing the short edges. So they have a visual reference of the cross in order to know if the setting.
Sorry, I was even forgot to click the audio. Thank you, Jason. No, what I was just trying to say here is that sometimes technology is a bitch, because basically where I live, I'm working from home. Basically, the internet just like poof, and that of course disconnect everybody. But Rafa is coming back now.
Do you hear me now, Morten? Do you hear me now, Morten?
Just try to do it. Can you hear me now?
Okay.
Okay.
I Yes, I
Yeah.
we hear you now.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. As I said before, it was like where I work from home, and there was like the internet just like boom, so everything went out for a second, and that disconnected the stream. But we are back online now. So if you can just, you were just about when I lost it from my side, you were in the presentation. You were showing the where you were like having the camera assistant to the sides of the long edge. So maybe you can call up the presentation and just continue from there. I would really appreciate that if you don't mind.
Yes.
So share your screen again.
Okay. Oh, I have to share my screen again. Give me
Yeah,
a second.
because it disconnected everything. And as I explained also just a moment ago, is to the audience is basically what happens is when you take internet video and stream it into your side, which streams to my side, which I stream back to the internet. That was too much of the things, but we will add the videos afterwards, so you can have them in a good quality, of course. So I just get you back in the frame with your presentation. So sorry for this little inconvenience.
No, no problem.
And here we go.
Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yes, and we see a nice Australian flag in Melbourne.
Okay, perfect. So what I was telling you is that we have different machines installed in Australia, and before COVID, we got an order from a company called MediaPoint. They are a trade only printer in Melbourne, and they were trying to. I mean, they have a lean process for everything they do, and they were trying to streamline, their panel finishing process. And we contact them, and they visit our factory. I think it was November 2019, and then we got the order, we produced the machine, and then that was right before the pandemic. I remember that the week we had to load the container, that was the week that we had to stay in lockdown in Spain. So it was a complete disaster. Also difficult to explain because in Australia the lockdown came, months later compared with Europe. And also we got the challenge that at the time of installation, that was like June or July 2020, we were not able to travel. So, I mean, we normally send our technicians to do the installation and training of the staff. And in this case, we had to use our distributor, Eurotech, sorry, James, that he traveled from Perth to Melbourne by car. That's like going from Spain to Russia or something like that. That's a huge amount of kilometers. And then we had to hire a local engineer in order to do the setup, but everything worked, quite well end of the day. And then we have a customer testimonial from Jason, okay, that is the CEO of MediaPoint. But I think as we were having these problems with the video, what I will do is I will send you the video later on, and then you can mount it all together. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so that's about everything on our site. I can't hear you, Morten. Okay, I do now.
Yeah, it's me. I apologize for the technical hiccups. It's a one-man army, I tell you, making a broadcast like this. It was a wonderful presentation, and I got a better understanding of plastic garment, which was obviously the objective of this thing. A few questions. Rafa, when you look at the technology that you provide, some of the technology, the first slide you showed seems so... and I'm not patronizing, but it seems so simple. But it is still so important for the customers to have really good tools for enabling storage and transport, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are not discovering the wheel, but what we do is to listen to customers. So, and also when we visit the factories, we try to pay attention. I mean, we always like to see the finishing parts of the companies and how the transition is from the printers to the finishing side, how they move the materials. And many of the things we do is just, following request because they tell us, I mean, at the beginning, we never thought about making a horizontal, the Bullrag Double XL for 3.2 meters because that's huge. But then we saw, okay, if we make it in two parts and we make it IKEA style on flat boxes, and the customer can put it together, okay, maybe it will make sense. So they tell us what they need, and sometimes we can or sometimes we can't make it. But if you listen to the customers, and when a customer, let's say in United States, asks you for something, and then a week later somebody from Australia asks the same, that means that there is a market for it. You have to see if you can make it or not, because maybe we're not ready for it, or we are too busy these days. But not all the markets behave exactly on the same way, but they are quite similar, I would say.
And it's funny because, when we talk software, everybody's always talking about, aligning the software development with the customers, but there's no difference in hardware basically, because if you're a good manufacturer and you listen to your customers, you deserve and get a market. When we move a little bit forward to the automation part of it, as we spoke about earlier, it is obvious to me that you can save labor, and it's also obvious to me that if you have a lot of similar productions in width, then of course you can optimize your production considerably. Do you have competition in this market, or are you pretty much alone in this automation field of the finishing of the large format things?
I mean, there are companies in the market that they do welders and they do grommeting equipment, but I think we are the only ones that we have taken integration of both systems to this level, because we as a company decided several years ago to invest a lot in this. So in order to produce, I mean, everything, all the machines you have seen, they are produced in Alicante at our factory. So we had to hire, electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. So we had to, I mean, if we look back to 15 years ago, I mean, our company was completely different, and so was the staff. So, as a company, you have to say, okay, we think there is a market for automation, but you have to take a lot of financial risks because you need to have people that are scarce these days, and that's expensive, and you need to have technicians that speak English and are able to travel worldwide. And so there are a lot of challenges. But if you see, our CEO, Abakuk, he has a vision of what we can do in terms of automation, and we are trying to go that way. Sometimes it's not easy, and instead of going this way, you have to go, a bit like this. But if you know where you want to get, at least you know the target. And with COVID, it was a challenge, but at the end of the day, I think we came out stronger, and so majority of our customers.
Another question I have, and I must say that I come from the commercial side, so I'm not so much into the business you're doing. But when you look at a machine like this, and with all the processing you do with the material, is there any restrictions to what kind of material you use on these machines, or is it always the same type of material people using?
Normally, customers they will print on mesh, PVC banners, and PE. These days, there is a green wave speaking about non-PVC products. What we tell the customers is to send sample rolls, because we have tested some, and some they work, and some they don't. But we don't have like a pattern to say this particular brand works better than the other. It is also if they are, fire retardant or not, the kind of the processes they applied. So you have to test it because that's the best thing to do.
Yeah. So what's left to say here is basically that people working in the large format, especially a little bit on the volume side, they should reach out to you and get further information about your offerings, right? But just now I said with the large, but I mean basically Plasgromet have a wide variety of different products for all types of company. I was just referring to the automation is maybe for the little bit larger one. Is there like a lower limit for what you recommend for companies investing in fully automated solutions?
Could you say that again? Sorry, Morten.
Yeah. I was just wondering. I mean, I don't know the size of the investment, but is there like is it only for the largest companies, or is it also from the mid-sized companies? Where do you see the
No,
starting
I
point?
mean, it will depend. Obviously, if you are going to invest in all-in-one, that will be expensive for the smaller companies. But maybe the finishing station will make a lot of sense because with a single machine, they can finish the 4 sides. Okay, not as efficient as the other, but maybe you are not going to have orders of 500 banners the same time. So we try to have something for everybody. And obviously, the biggest players in the market, they will need more than one machine. And but if you are a medium-sized company, and then you start, growing your banner business, Plasgromet always has something that could be interesting for you, by
So
sure.
what you say is they should call you under all circumstances, right?
Always.
Always. Fantastic. I don't know if you have anything you want to talk about right now. We still have time if you want to. Otherwise, I think it was really a great presentation you did, and I think that Plasgromet seems to be a company that I would like to. If I were in this business, and personally, yes, but if I were in this business, 100% interested to know more about what you're doing. It seems that you are very customer centric, which is always the more interesting companies to talk to. So I think it was a great presentation there, Rafa.
Thanks a lot. I mean, I'm the well-known face of Plasgromet, but we have a team on the back that helped me to prepare the presentation because I'm not really good with PowerPoint. So I give the ideas, and then I have our IT guy Carlos that does all the magic in order to make it really nice. But if any customers they want to have a chat about what we offer, we are always willing to listen. And the best thing is, we try to have like a video meeting because we need to understand what they expect, which are their requirements, and then we can see if our products fit well or not. Sometimes, I was speaking like a month ago with a company from the States, and their workflow was, printing, going to a flatbed cutter, because they nest all the banners, and then they went to a finishing table with a welder, another chromating table, and then I was asking them, okay, don't you think it could be a possibility that instead of mixing all the banners like this, that you print them same width on the same roll in order to take the banners from the printer to the all-in-one instead of going to the cutting table? And then that made a click in their mind. Okay, maybe it makes sense. So sometimes you have to rethink your processes, and not to say, okay, every banner is different, but maybe there could be a way that not all the banners could be a different size if you organize the jobs in a different way. So, these days we have to speak with the customers, we have to listen, and then we have to see what we can do together, because sometimes what we do is not what you need. But majority of the times we can do something in order to make your job a bit easier.
Fantastic. Once again, thank you very much, and I look forward to see you soon in the US.
Yes.
Will be fun to see. And for the audience, I just want to say that actually we invited several people to come and talk about the finishing options here at the Large Format Day Thursday. And Rafa was the only one that picked the spot, so he got all the glory of today's finishing line. We will do something similar to this a little bit later because I think it's important to talk about finishing in general. Tomorrow we have packaging and embellishment, and we have some quite interesting companies coming in tomorrow, but I will put a note on LinkedIn about that. But I can tell you that we have Bobst, we have Kurz, we have I think we have a quite full day tomorrow. So if you don't know what to do, or you want to just have it in your corner of your computer while working, this is an opportunity. This is Morten from Inkis TV, and once again, thank you everybody for participating. And very shortly, the replays will be available. And Rafa, please send me the film so I can integrate them into the presentation, so people can see what we missed. Thank you, everybody, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Morten. Bye-bye.
Bye.